welcome back to the What the Halo podcast. I'm your host, Dave Townsend. I have a special guest in the studio here with me today, Kyle Markham. Thanks for joining the show. A long time listener. You do follow us on,
of course.
Okay, you better be, and liking as well.
Yes.
All right, good. So Kyle leads our product here. I don't want to steal your thunder. Why don't you give us a little bit about yourself and so forth?
You got it. Thanks a lot for having me, David.
Yeah.
I'm Kyle Markham, head of product. I've been with Halo Investing for a little over 5 years. We've been building the platform that we're going to talk about today, servicing registered investment advisors and quite a host of actually protective products that we're offering within the application. So hoping today to take a little bit of time and do a little bit of training for some of the newer users. Maybe we can talk about some of the things that we're developing presently and excited to deliver soon. And then after that, we'll have another session in a subsequent podcast to dive into some of the other features because, David, we won't be able to do it all today.
No, I don't want to put you on the hook for too much. Truth be told, this has been in the works for some time. We've discussed it. Kyle's office is right outside the door here, so he's a regular for the. And you'll notice, Kyle, I did break out the Halo here for the special edition here.
I needed it. Thank you.
So when we put the studio together, we originally as obviously Halo Investing, What the Halo podcast. So this is the first time we've actually used the Halo. Wow. So I brought that out for you. It's been a couple of years in the making.
Thank you.
We need to come up with a special name for this segment because we do want to try to do this more regularly, like quarterly or something like that. So maybe it's like the What the Halo Power Hour or something. We got to come up with something more creative.
Yep.
But all right, well let's dive right in. So obviously markets have been interesting to start 2025. February has been interesting. Volatility's back. Everybody's freaking out. New administration, trade wars, the whole bit. So without getting into overwhelmingly macro-oriented stuff, just cut to the chase. You guys, you and your team are behind the platform.
Right.
How are you positioning, listening to clients? You do sit in on a lot of client conversations. Part of the, what makes Halo special, which is what I like being here, is that we, it's sort of like by advisors for advisors. And so we listen to a lot of their feedback. What are you hearing out there in the street?
Yeah, so you're absolutely right regarding last year. I mean, rip-roaring bull market, a lot of redemptions, and in a lot of respects, it was sort of, it felt very one-directional. So this year, to your point, you've seen new administration get started. Just in this month of February, right, we've had much larger ranges in the S&P. We have a very significant move in the NASDAQ yesterday. You've had a lot of people sort of on pins and needles about the NVIDIA earnings. Yeah. That's behind us now, and we're dealing with a lot of just constant headline risk. So we do see advisors, as is often the case, looking to capture the volatility, right? When you get these expanded ranges and you get a sudden move down, be that in a single security or in an index. But what we've actually been doing, particularly in 2025, is interviewing a lot of our users and asking them, how do they think about a structured product in a portfolio?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
The feedback that we've gotten, David, is that many of the other assets that advisors are allocating on behalf of their customers, it's in a portfolio model sense, right? And that allows them to have a little bit more of repeated behavior and a little bit more standard operating method when they're actually using structured products.
Sure.
So we've been interviewing people and asking, how do you think about this type of a product in that kind of a portfolio? And that's actually one of the things that we've been working on developing, which we can talk about a little bit later in the show. So more or less, we've had a best-in-class technology solution for that tactical capturing volatility concept.
Sure.
The market is in a different spot now. People are starting to be a little bit more defensive because of such a big move last year. So we're seeing a tremendous amount of pricing activity, but also advisors that are saying, I want to think more in a portfolio context rather than volatility is up, let me try to harvest it. So that's how we've been starting the year. And then just like you said, we're always looking for advisors and Halo users to interview and get feedback, because our goal is to build, obviously, the best technology on the street. Yep. But secondarily, we're trying to drive transparency in this market. And the reason that we're doing that is because we want to grow the overall size of it. We want it to be more accessible for everybody. Yep. And we really want to try to bring down some of the ambiguity and opaqueness that has plagued the product for many, many years. So that's what we're doing. It's been a great start to the year. It is good that the markets are trading two ways. People have questions. Their customers are asking about volatility. And as you know, we have a team of sales representatives to help them through that process using structured notes.
Yeah. It's interesting you mentioned using structured products as more of a strategic asset allocation as opposed to just a tactical kind of play. And it's just consistent with other asset classes beyond just alternatives and so forth. So it's not surprising to hear that folks are essentially implementing and using them at a more integral level than just sort of one-off kind of plays.
You got it.
As you said, to harvest vol. So you had mentioned developing with the platform, so Halo platform. And I always was intrigued by one of the things that when I had joined, folks had told me, well, where's the manual for Halo? Like, how do you get started? How do you do it? And I was told, well, one of the co-founders was rather, he liked the idea of the iPhone because there is no manual. You go buy this iPhone, it's super advanced. It can do 1,000 things, but there's no real manual for it. So the idea was to try to make it intuitive enough that like anybody could use it. It wasn't a burden to entry because of the getting started. With that said, can you walk us through just getting started? How do you get started with the platform? Get us going.
You got it. Absolutely, David. So we have integrations all over the street, frankly, and a lot of partners that enter the application through a single sign-on.
Okay.
But for today's purposes, we're going to just log in directly, and we're going to walk through how do you get started. You're right, and I appreciate the compliment that it's that easy to use. But what we are also trying to do is make sure that a user can enter the application and feel comfortable as opposed to feeling overwhelmed. If you think about the first time that you went to Amazon, there was so much stuff for sale, you weren't exactly sure where to go. Right? And now when you sign in, it knows enough about your preferences, it knows about some of your previous purchases, and it's a much more curtailed offering that makes it easier for you to not only get whatever product you're looking for, but you're also saving time, which is obviously, as a technology leader and the Halo team at large, we're trying to save the advisors time so that they can be with their customer and, frankly, raising more assets. So that's what we're doing. And let's go ahead and jump into the platform and start to take a little bit of a tour. And obviously, if I move too fast, don't hesitate.
Let's dive in.
To slow me down. So we are now in the platform, and we have landed on what we call Halo Home. So the intention of this page is to make it very easy for the user to know where to go and what action to take. Given the product at hand, we do see many users that prefer not only to complete the education first, sometimes they have other members of the firm who also want to have that education completed. So you'll see here, widget at the top, very simply to go ahead and get your kind of, not Halo manual, but your Halo certificate that you understand the product that we're talking about. You'll see here all of the customization on this page and the ability to really easily monitor what's important to you as a Halo user. So stepping a little bit lower, you can see part of the feedback we've gotten, David, is, like I said earlier, advisors that want to think about a structured product in a portfolio context. And what we've actually started to do, and this is something that we're developing presently, is creating these templated watch lists with certain structures that adhere to certain portfolio models. So this is only for demonstration purposes. Obviously, we are not making recommendations, and we are not giving financial advice, and we are not tax professionals either, David. But this is an example here where you can see...
You got the compliance language nailed, by the way.
Yes, sir. So a conservative growth watch list with a couple of index-based growth products where you're just participating in the upside. You can take a step down here and think about, okay, here's aggressive income. So a little bit more aggressive portfolio allocation, certainly some auto calls in here. And then kind of a step down again would be more tactical in nature, where, like we talked about earlier, trying to harvest volatility. We talked about NVIDIA, for example. It's been the high flyer for as long as we can all remember. You've got a lot of people talking about it. It's on CNBC more or less 20 hours a day. So here you have some examples of that's a security that has at least come off the highs. There's been some volatility. The earnings, while they were strong, were not quite strong enough for the street's appetite. So here's another product where you can say, I want some exposure here, but I'm going to monitor it until it gets to a level that I'm interested in.
Okay.
So one little step further here would be like a portfolio life cycle. One of the things we know about this industry, and that's been the case since the beginning, is sort of the complexity of monitoring and tracking what's going on with the various products.
Okay.
We know this can be difficult for advisors as well when they get an ACATed position or a new account that comes in.
Yep.
They were not necessarily a part of that distribution, and they need information and they need data to be able to help their users understand performance and things of that nature. So that would be our portfolio and life cycle part of the application.
Okay.
And then down here on the what we call the shelf, these are just calendar opportunities from various issuers that some of our users actually will go ahead and do some indicative pricing to try to see where is the monthly offering versus where is the market today, for example. So I think that's a good segue for us to go and actually maybe do a little bit of pricing, knowing that, like I said, these offerings on the calendar, they're available every month. Sometimes advisors have a little bit of a customization they want to apply based on some of the needs of the accounts that they represent and the portfolios that they oversee, which is what we do on the pricing form.
Yeah, and so let me, you're a gentleman. The pricing is one of the key things here. This is the signature feature that used to take days, if not weeks, to get a price on a note classically, and that's where essentially you guys have eliminated that burden. So walk us through how you price a note.
You got it. So what I have here, David, is just income and growth products. We generally see that as a great starting point for especially new advisors. Keeping in mind the ability to add additional payoffs and potentially more complex packages is something a lot of our users grow into. So this would be what I would call a rather simple income note on the NDX. I'm choosing the NDX because it took a bit of a beating yesterday, so we know the volatility is a little bit higher, and it's good for an example today. You'll notice the protection sliders. Sometimes people have a little bit of confusion about this at first. That's where the educational resources come in handy. And if you look down here in the corner, actually, David, and this is to your point about where's the manual? Like any fast-moving tech team, it isn't necessarily on PDFs, but it is here in the interface where you can actually ask, how do I do this? How do I add multiple positions? How do I look at account holdings? It's actually through a partner called WalkMe, and we've had really good feedback from our users that it actually helps them to understand, how do I navigate through this platform that we've come to realize is actually a little deeper than we thought. So here is some quotes coming in now. We can see, looks like, based on yesterday's move, 8.5%. This is going out to various issuer partners via API. And what we're doing here, David, on a very basic level, is we're trying to aggregate indicative pricing for our users so they can do their fiduciary duty and say, hey, I went out, I took a look at what's there. I'm not really comfortable at 8.5%, but maybe I'll use my watch list. And if I get to 10.5, 11, based on the preferences of the capital that I'm overseeing, then that might be something that I'm interested in. So not going to go.
This is massive in structured products.
Oh, yeah. And it
wasn't, we didn't have this technology years ago.
The reality is there are still a portion of buyers and structured product market participants that are pricing via email. For technology team like I'm a part of, that's a little bit hard to imagine. And that's where we didn't get into this in the beginning, but we've got a lot of members of the team that come from other assets and other trading businesses where we're able to leverage the way that those products matured and the technology that supports them in the way that we envision the future for the Halo platform. So not going to go overboard on the pricing. Obviously, you can go and do a litany of iterations. The idea is that it gives our users comfort in their familiarity with what it is that they're buying, how those prices change, and then maybe there's a reason or a level where they want to take action. And that's part of what we are supporting. So little income note there on the NDX, pricing one here on the SPX. It's going to bring me back my quotes, and then I have a decision as that user. Is it at a level that I find attractive? Do I want to wait? Where is it versus last week? All of that kind of stuff. So that is the pricing form. It is broadly used by our power users that are also trying to harvest that tactical volatility event. In that case, we see people that are taking a single security that's experienced some kind of a headline event, some heightened volatility, and they're using this auto pricing functionality to get a feeling for what does this structured product on this underlying look like relative to another way that I might be able to initiate a position.
Yep.
So that's income and that's growth. We are actually building a new version of this page. It's going to be much easier to use for the newer user.
Okay.
And just, again, back to my original commentary, saving time and making sure that all of the Halo users are able to get what they need quickly.
Yep.
So that is pricing. What I might do, David, is just step over to the watch list, which is a place where we do see many of our users, like I said, trying to actually create templates that allow them to have a host of ideas that match a certain market outlook and a certain portfolio allocation.
Okay.
So one of the things that we're developing, and we certainly want feedback on, is what watch list would resonate with our users.
Sure.
Do we need aggressive growth, or I guess, aggressive and growth perhaps not together.
You like the high octane stuff.
Yeah.
It's all brakes, no gas. Or all gas, no brakes around here.
Aggressive income products and a suite of those actual structures that they can monitor. So you can see here I have a few different variations. I don't want to go overboard because we just don't have so much time.
Yeah.
You'll see here on the product detail modal a host of information about how a product like this has performed.
Okay.
Then you get into the quotes here. This has just got the one that I quoted a moment ago. We have payoff charts. We can take a little bit of a look at a coupon schedule.
Yep.
It's laying everything out that the advisor needs to be able to have that conversation with their customer.
Okay.
We're putting it in the one spot, so you're not aggregating PDFs and you're not, calling someone on the phone.
Yeah.
You're using the technology so that you can understand in a very, efficient way what's present, does this make sense for me, and how do I take an action? So that's just a basic introduction to pricing a note, adding those notes to a watch list. And then, like I said, we really want to build this out so that your sales coverage or your sales partner can maybe share something with you. Okay. Or maybe David and Kyle work together in an advisory firm, and I've got some ideas, but I want you to be aware of them because we actually allocate portfolios in a very similar way.
Sure.
That's what we're working on the watch list side, and we're going to be starting to get some feedback from users as we roll this out to make sure that we are hitting the mark and saving them time.
Yeah, I mean one of the key things that you're said in different ways. It's about scale, managing these things at scale.
Yep.
Whereas classically they've just been cumbersome. A great product in name, in theory, often cumbersome to work with. One of the signature contributions, which really changes the game, is the idea is treating these as part of a portfolio.
Right.
Walk us through the actual portfolio tools. And so for those who don't know, like classically, advisors would manage these in spreadsheets and just very clumsy.
Right.
Until Halo come along, there wasn't a whole lot of options to manage this outside of Excel or something like that.
You got it. Absolutely. So I've moved over to the portfolio part of the application. It was always one of the pain points, and we've certainly had feedback that in other parts of the advisor life and in other solutions, you may have a single identifier and evaluation. And it's just, honestly, David, it's not enough, right? You need more insight, and you need to be able to answer the phone and speak to your customer and provide them with information about the product.
It's hard to fulfill a fiduciary duty if you're just working with spreadsheets and half information.
You got it. So if we go into this interface here, we'll see if we just pick this one out, for example, again, you've got all of the information that's pertinent for that product. You'll see where were these underlyings when you initiated the position? What is your evaluation? How are the coupons? So if we see here, again, this is just presentation data. This is not a real position. This is something that we've created for today's purposes. You can see the history of this product. You can see the coupons that were paid. Okay. And it's great in the conversation when you're dealing with a portfolio or a user who's saying, what I need is that trickle of income.
Yep.
What I want from this structured product is that combination of the fixed income feeling with that exposure to the equity market.
Yeah.
And that's what you're seeing here in that coupon schedule.
Okay.
So that is one way to look at it, David. And then we step over to something that we're actually pretty proud of here, which is the life cycle.
Okay.
And I'm going to just go a little bit here it's very difficult to use your computer because you're a Microsoft guy. So
Yeah, he's. We tried to get a. So for those that are watching, he is a good sport. He did jump on my Windows PC here last minute so we could pull this off.
yes, so it's only been about 15 years.
I got to talk to my producer Alex Hinks to get her to iron this out for us.
You got it. So here's everything that's happening and what is the status of that product.
Okay.
If we hit this drop down here, we're going to see this is test data, but here's the allocations. Here's the amount of capital that was contributed in the beginning. And then you're getting insight into where is the product? When is it coming up for the next event? Again, before you're trying to track what is this that's come into my custodian account that I'm not familiar with.
Yeah.
Maybe it's coupon payment. Maybe there's a redemption. Perhaps there's an auto call. This is alleviating that for the advisor, and it's certainly something that we've gotten great feedback about as it relates to saving time and getting rid of this kind of stale story that is too opaque and it's too hard to understand. When you've got technology like this, it alleviates a lot of those concerns because it's all here in front of you.
Yeah.
There is no aggregating of different sources from different places. So this is how we see many of our users looking at the events that are coming due and trying to make decisions about what are they going to do next. And that, we know, for a very long time was complex because you're seeing capital that comes back, and now you've got to make a decision because until the somewhat recent history, there weren't any interest rates, right? There wasn't any anything at all. You had to get exposed. So that is what we see in the life cycle tab. If we go here, here's an investment opportunity. Again, right, we are not making recommendations. We're using technology to say, here's something that you own.
Yep.
Here's some event coming soon. And maybe here is something for you to consider, if I could use your computer correctly, for another opportunity.
Yep.
So if we continue down, you'll see everything that you need, David's right here. So we see that as a way for users to monitor activity.
Yep.
We are using technology and some behind-the-scenes algorithms to match holdings and new opportunities, and still giving the advisor the opportunity to say, I want to adjust this with a pricing request.
Yep.
I want to send this out to get an indicative quote from the issuing partners.
Yep.
Or maybe I just want to speak to my sales coverage and say, I see an opportunity here. The particular product that I'm in, let's say, was a 7% yield. I'm seeing this today at 8.5.
Yeah.
It'd be a great opportunity for my customers should they get to 10 or 10.5.
Yeah.
And that's how they're using our auction technology to execute that trade. So probably that's enough for today.
Yeah.
We've gone pretty deep. We've covered how can you get a price. We've shown you the educational modules that can help you make sure you're comfortable with the product that we're talking about. Then you go to the watch list and you can say, these are models that make sense to the way that I allocate capital. And then we go to portfolio and say, here's everything that's happened. Let's put it in the one place for you so it's easy for you to do your job.
Yep.
And you're not putting more time on a structured product than many of the other assets that you manage.
Yeah. Okay, well, Kyle, truth be told, I did not bring you here and ask you a bunch of softball questions. So I do have one to put you. Hey, I didn't break out the halo for no good reason.
Very well.
It's more like a hot lamp in here, right?
Yeah.
So, exciting things on the horizon. One of the new features coming is Aura, the analytics engine for structured products.
Yeah.
Without giving too much away,
Right.
Can you tease us? Tell us a little bit about it. And for truth be told, we've had analytics tools in the past, so Halo has them existing.
Yep.
Where is the evolution in this with Aura on the horizon?
Yeah, so we won't give too much away.
Okay.
That's going to be another session for you and I in the series.
Yeah.
But more or less to your point, some of the feedback that we got was, again, I need to think about this in a portfolio.
Yep.
And I really need to think about, what does my portfolio look like before? What's it look like after?
Sure.
One of these structured products is input with whatever percentage allocation.
Yep.
So we took it a step further, actually, and then started to incorporate capital market assumptions.
Okay.
And this is something that will be able to allow certain users to actually control. So they can make a setting, effectively, on the way that they look at the market, the way that they look at geopolitical risk or some of the events that have been all over the news recently. So what we're doing is, in Aura, we're going to be showing that advisor here was a portfolio before.
Yep.
Here's a few simple notes, again, based on your expertise, and you can allocate that into the interface, and then you can have a new set of statistics and information to help you make a decision. And what we're really doing here is saying, having a rapid pricing interface to get you that tactical opportunity is exciting.
Yep.
But if you can help the advisor think about it in the terms of a model portfolio and providing them enough statistics to help with the conversation, we think that that's going to be a way for many of our users to allocate structured products similarly to they do many other assets.
Yeah.
And then you get a little bit more repeat behavior, and it's easier. And I don't want to get out of my over my skis here, but we're getting feedback that some of our users prefer to initiate very similar trades, but on scheduled basis, because that cost basis averaging actually helps them to dampen volatility in the portfolio over a long enough period of time.
Sure.
So when you're using a tool like Aura, you're going to be able to have enough information to make the decision. And then we're going to be also helping those users to get to that stage of execution. And then in the long term, David, I think it makes a lot of sense for quarterly allocations.
Yeah.
And if you think about on the retail side of the business, at this point in time, you could buy $20 worth of Apple on a daily basis if you wanted to.
Yeah.
We're not going to go all the way there.
Sure.
But certainly Aura is going to help us to take that portfolio contextualization away from a verbal conversation and into a digital technology solution that saves time and helps to convey the value within structured products.
Yeah, it's the next evolution and the maturing of these products in general. So,
absolutely.
Look, we're going to bring you back here to show us, walk us through Aura, how it works. We appreciate your time today. We look forward to doing this again. Please hit that like and subscribe button. It means a lot to us. So again, Kyle, appreciate you coming in on a Friday to join the show. So we'll do this again.
Thank you for having me, David.
Thank you.